Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Engineer Abdullah Rafi', Assistant Director General for Planning and Engineering in Dubai Municipality, esteemed Assistant Director Generals and Department Directors in Dubai Municipality, Ms. Lina Rylander from the UN Habitat, our dear guests, again, we gather here in Dubai, the city of miracles, where impossibility is an unknown word. Dubai, the city that cares, connects, abides, and accomplishes. So welcome everybody to the city of dreams, the city of Dubai. We start our gathering today with the national anthem of the United Arab Emirates, followed by the recitation of the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين قل من حرم زينة الله التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق قل هي للذين آمنوا في الحياة الدنيا خالصة يوم القيامة كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يعلمون
صدق الله العظيم.
In 1995, the Dubai International Award for Best Practices was established under the directives of the late Sheikh Maktoum bin Rashid Al Maktoum during a United Nations International Conference. This award has continued under the support and patronage of His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai, Minister of Finance and Industry, and the Chairman of Dubai Municipality. This award, which recognizes best practices with positive impact on improving the living environment, reflects the policy and commitment of the Dubai government and the United Arab Emirates towards sustainable development of human settlements and protection of the environment on the basis of international cooperation. Today, in 2015, we celebrate the 10th cycle of the Dubai International Award for Best Practices. 20 years of fruitful partnership between Dubai Municipality and the UN Habitat has delivered an international platform to recognize best practices. Ladies and gentlemen, in this occasion, allow me now to call upon Engineer Abdullah Rafi', Assistant Director General for Planning and Engineering, to deliver his speech.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن اتبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It really gives me great pleasure to be with you today to welcome you to Dubai for those people who are visiting us. and I hope you enjoy your stay here. I'd like to start with congratulating the 11 winners. And I also would like to thank the jury members who put a lot of time to select these practices. Also, I don't want to forget the people who worked on the entries to start with. That is the technical committee, who looked into more than 365 entries, I think. And also the work of the committee who worked even before that to sieve the entries. I think we received much more than the 365 entries. And it is really a good thing to get all these people working one group after each other, and it's proper to thank all of them. Also, thanks are extended to all Dubai Municipality employees who worked on this program for the last 20 years now, and also the UN Habitat people who worked with us for a long time on not only making this come true, but it becomes sustainable too. 20 years is quite a long time for an award to stay, and we think this is an award that's going to stay for a long time with us. As you know, there were new categories were added to the best practices and the transfers. There were 3 new categories: the personal category, and the private sector, and the university research. I think adding new categories, putting up new rules and conditions, it just will add to this award. And it will only make it better. And I think with the new technologies, this award needs to get closer to the people from using all kind of communication means to get us to be more exposed and to get more people to come in, and especially the specialized people to come in with some good practices that will help many areas in this world. I know I was talking to Lina that one of the awards that I was looking at when I was part of the jury gave us a good idea to utilize something on a larger scale in Dubai. So it's really these best practices are best practices. They could be utilized and they could be very beneficial. I think there's been a great work done over the last 20 years. We expect greater work to be done over the next 20 years. By this, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Rafi'. A short film can tell a story better than 1,000 words. I will now leave you with a documentary film about the Dubai International Award.
Million people do not have access to safe drinking water, while 2.6 billion do not have adequate sanitation.
When my children are sick or hungry, I feel sad. Sometimes I cry.
More than 900 million people go to bed hungry every day. 78% of hungry people are women and children. There are more than 1 billion slum dwellers. As we move forward in the 21st century, governments, community organizations, and individuals from around the world coordinate their efforts on the local, national, and international levels in order to improve people's living conditions. Sustainable development and the protection of the global environment have always been the policy of the United Arab Emirates government and the deep concern of its president, His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, in protecting the global environment. The award is fully supported by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and the ruler of Dubai, in accordance with His Highness's vision and strategy to achieve excellence and partnership with the international community. In synergy with this support, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai, Minister of Finance and Industry, and Chairman of Dubai Municipality, established a permanent location for the award. In line with this policy, Dubai hosted in 1995 the International Conference on Best Practices to Improve the Living Environment, where the Dubai Declaration was adopted and the Dubai International Award was accordingly established. The original call for best practices was launched in 1996 during preparations for the Second United Nations Conference on Human Settlements, Habitat II, as a means of identifying what works in improving living conditions on a sustainable basis. The Dubai International Award Trophy was presented to the UN Secretary General and is displayed at the United Nations headquarters in New York.
In allowing the United Nations to display this magnificent replica of the Wind Tower, you have yet again lived up to the spirit of that generosity. As it stands along the path of the guided tours of the United Nations, tens of thousands of visitors will be able to enjoy it. It is truly fitting that the Wind Tower should serve as the Dubai International Award for Best Practices to Improve Living Environment. On behalf of the United Nations, let me say shukran. Wassalamu alaikum.
The Dubai International Award for Best Practices to Improve the Living Environment is presented every 2 years, which is open to all organizations and individuals from governments, local authorities, and civil society. As a result of 9 successive award cycles up to date, currently there are approximately 4,000 good and best practices from 140 countries featured on the Best Practices database. At each cycle, an independent committee of technical experts identifies good and best practices. An international jury selects the award winners from the shortlist. The purpose is to recognize outstanding and sustainable achievements in improving the quality of life, with the increasing support of internationally renowned partners. The Dubai International Award offers a unique opportunity to join hands in the common goal to improve people's living conditions. Dubai International Award for Best Practices to Improve the Living Environment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to provide our winners with the chance to speak up about their winning practices and explain how their commitment, hard work, ambitions have yielded their presence here among us. With pleasure, I would like to call upon Ms. Yasmin Hagri to present her practice.
Before starting the movie, I'd just like to share with you our definition of the word orphan. At Wataniya Society, we look at the orphan that they are all children without parental care, regardless of the reason why they were separated from their family. Now we are focused mainly on the institutionalized children. We will start with the video and then we'll take you through our journey with a very short presentation. Thank you.
تغيير نظرة المجتمع لاحتياجات الطفل اليتيم والتي ارتكزت دوما على المأكل والمشرب إلى احتياجاته الفعلية ودمجه في المجتمع بشكل صحيح، كانت الفكرة التي تأسست من أجلها جمعية وطنية لتنمية وتطوير دور الأيتام عام 2008 كمؤسسة أهلية لا تهدف للربح. أهم الأهداف كان محاولة تطبيق معايير للجودة داخل دور الأيتام وتنشئة الأطفال والشباب في هذه المؤسسات في مناخ آمن وبيئة صحية.
من أهم الأهداف اللي أنشئت عليها جمعية وطنية هي توفير حياة كريمة لكل يتيم. الحياة الكريمة عشان تبقى مستديمة لازم نبنيها على العلم، والعلم معناه معايير جودة، العلم معناه شهادات مهنية معتمدة عشان ندرب اللي بيراعوا الأولاد، وكمان برامج للأولاد إزاي هم يقدروا يساعدوا روحهم لما يكبروا.
هذه التجربة المصرية الرائدة في مجال رعاية الأيتام في مصر كانت السبيل لفوز جمعية وطنية بجائزة دبي الدولية لأفضل الممارسات لهذا العام ضمن أفضل 6 تجارب تنموية ذات إسهامات مميزة على مستوى العالم من بين أكثر من 95 دولة. أحد أسباب الاختيار كان لدور وطنية في وضع وتطوير معايير لجودة الرعاية داخل دور الأيتام والمؤسسات الإيوائية. تم اعتماد هذه المعايير كمعايير قومية إلزامية منذ شهر يونيو الماضي عام 2014 من خلال تعاون الجمعية مع وزارة التضامن الاجتماعي إلى جانب عمل شراكات مع العديد من المؤسسات المحلية والدولية.
طبعا جمعية وطنية دي كانت جمعية رائدة في حتة إن هي بتحط معايير ونظم لدور الأيتام، وكان الكلام ده مش موجود قبل كده، يعني مفيش حد فكر في الفكرة دي قبل كده، والناس اللي شغالة في دور الأيتام كانت بتجتهد وجهود شخصية، إنما مفيش منهجية في إنشاء الدار أو التعاون مع الأولاد، ما كانش موجود الكلام ده.
تعمل وطنية من خلال 3 محاور رئيسية: التطوير المؤسسي وتوفير الدعم التقني لدور الأيتام، إنشاء مركز أمان التدريبي، ومن أهم نتائجه كانت تقديم شهادة إدكسل المهنية الدولية لأول مرة في الشرق الأوسط، التي تدرب من خلالها مجموعة كبيرة من القائمين على رعاية الأيتام.
موجودة النهاردة علشان أحتفل مع حضراتكم بتخريج أول دفعة من مقدمي الرعاية اللي دربتهم من مؤسسة وطنية. ووجودي النهاردة أولاً الحقيقة كنت مهتمة جدا إن أنا أكون موجودة، لأن وجودي النهاردة ليه أكتر من دلالة. أول حاجة إن أنا عاوزة أستفيد وأتعلم وأعرف النشاط دوت بشكل أكتر تفصيلا، وأقابل الناس اللي عاملين الشغل ده لأني سمعت عنه ومهتمة بيه جدا.
مشكلة مقدمي الخدمة إن هو إذا كان خريج معهد خدمة اجتماعية أو خريج آداب، الجزء العملي مش موجود في الدراسة النظرية للأسف عندنا. فشهادة إيدكسل وفرت الحتة دي بقى يعني مزج بين التدريب النظري والتدريب العملي.
كان طبعا في الأول كان بيحصل إن في بعض التصرفات كتيرة بيعملوها الولاد وحركتهم في نموهم، في طريقتهم، في اللي بيتكلموا بدري، لا بيتأخروا في الكلام. كل ده طبعا ما كانش بيبقى عندي المقدرة في الأول إن أنا أقدر ألاحظه أو إن أنا أتابعه أو كده. بعد الشهادة ابتدينا نعرف إن ده في مقاييس ممكن أقيس بيها إذا كان هو كده ماشي على الريتم الطبيعي أو هو في مشكلة.
أما المحور الثالث فهو إقامة برامج توعية مجتمعية من أجل دمج هؤلاء الأطفال في المجتمع بشكل أكبر وإعلاء القيمة الاجتماعية لمهنة مقدم رعاية الطفل. وبعد 6 سنوات من العمل المؤسسي استطاعت جمعية وطنية أن تلمس تغييرات على أرض الواقع، ومنها وضع شباب الأيتام في الصفوف الأولى مع صانعي القرار ودمجهم في العمل الميداني من خلال برنامج فرصة لتنمية شباب الأيتام وتمكينهم من التعبير عن رأيهم والاعتماد على أنفسهم.
برنامج فرصة بيضم شباب من مختلف دور الأيتام في مستوى مصر، وأنا كنت واحد من الشباب دول، وبدأت أنطلق مع برنامج فرصة من هنا. بدأنا نحلم وبدأنا نخطط إزاي نبدأ ننفذ الحلم دوت على أرض الواقع.
هي خلتني أقوى بكثير، كسرت حاجز الخوف اللي عندي. هي كل اللي وطنية عملته أكتر حاجة إن الواحد بس كان عنده إمكانيات وهو ما كانش شايفها، فكنت فاكره ان الامكانيات ديت المفروض ان هي تبقى مثلا ان الواحد يتعلم حاجه تانية، ان الواحد يسافر بره البلد، ان الواحد مش عارفه كذا. لكن عمري ما كنت اتصور ابدا ان اكتر امكانيه موجوده عندي ان الواحد يكون مثلا اتربى في دار او ان هو يتيم. فهي وطنيه عملت سبوت لايت بقى على الحته دي بالذات، ان استغلي الحته دي في ان انت تنجحي.
تؤمن جمعية وطنية بفكرة تواصل الأجيال والجمع بين الخبرة والطاقات الشابة، بالإضافة إلى حث الشباب على العمل التطوعي بمهنية. وطنية بدأت بحلم لتغيير واقع الأطفال والشباب الذين منعتهم ظروفهم من العيش مع أسرهم الطبيعية، واستطاعت الجمعية مع مرور الوقت أن تبدأ في تغيير مفاهيم مجتمعية غير صحيحة لدمج هذه الفئة الهامة من الأطفال والشباب في المجتمع بشكل فعال.
In the coming slides, we are going to focus on how a small NGO, a non-governmental organization, managed to succeed in participating in lobbying for quality standards for alternative care on the national scale. Before starting, I just want to share with you a very short story about Reda, who is my colleague right now. He is an orphaned youth. And I remember quite well 3 years ago when I met Reda, we were talking about building trust and relationship. And Reda, who was raised in an orphanage, told me, do not talk with me about trust or about relationship. I cannot trust anyone, I don't want to. Why? Because since I was born, in my lifetime, I've seen more than 60 women. They were telling me that this is your mother, this is your alternative mother, and then every now and then she disappears, and another one comes, and they tell me, this is your new mother. And I had to go through the attachment, love, trust, and then she just disappeared, without giving me a reason why she's disappearing. That was a reason, one of the reasons, why we wanted to have quality standards for care, which ensures that no detachment trauma for children without parental care, no psychological or emotional abuse, or any kind of abuses. We looked at children that they are just like our children. They need and they deserve to dream, to have dream, and to fulfill their dream. Quickly, I'll not talk about the situation in Egypt a lot, but briefly, we didn't have actually standards except that it was outdated. Since 1977, we did not revisit it. No one revisited the actual standards. And they focused only on the financial aspect. The second thing, the caregiver profession in Egypt is really bad. Child caregiver profession lack qualification, lack education, and especially vocational qualification. Also, the working condition is very poor. They are suffering from very low salary and very bad image. We perceive the profession very negatively. As a result, orphans, they are not enjoying good education or psychological support. Okay. That's why Wataniya Society decided that we are not going to establish another orphanage. We don't have an orphanage. We thought of having national quality standards based on best practices. We aim at developing success models of institutional homes to be a prototype for other institutional homes to apply the standards, and to upgrade the caregiver's profession, and to empower orphaned youth to be independent thinkers and doers. Also, we are aiming at advocating for community monitoring, which is very important to sustain the quality standards application. Okay, I'll take you through now. We are going to focus on this main milestone, the reason behind being a best practice, but we just want to say that currently we are in the transformation phase, and then we are going to advocate for the community monitoring. The standards, before I leave the floor to Amira, my colleague, the standards, they are driven from best practices and they are under 6 main pillars. And the beauty of the standards is that they are integrated and they are a comprehensive solution to all challenges that children without parental care face within institutional homes. In order to have national standards, we had to work and to create different interventions with different stakeholders, such as the government to mandate the standards, and the institutional homes to engage them and to gain their ownership, which is very important, and finally the community to govern or to help us in monitoring these standards and to support the orphanages to apply the standards. Now I leave the floor to my colleague Amira to continue.
Now I'll walk you through the journey. How did we develop the quality standard? How did we ensure that the quality standards will be customized for the Egyptian circumstances? First, we started with research. We studied the best practices. We brought all the UN guidelines, the different standards from all over the world, and then we tried to test the quality standards, and after testing, we have found that some of these quality standards can be applied in Egypt, and others should be developed or changed. So after 4 years of testing the quality standard, we were able to customize quality standards that are meeting the needs and the assets within the Egyptian society. And then after this, we tried to lobby and to advocate for the quality standard. Living in Egypt, and we have different challenges, when we started to call for having a quality standard, people were telling us, you're crazy. We have lots of challenges, and you're telling us having quality standard for children without parental care? We said, okay, we will work, and we have developed our model. And then after 6 years, as Yasmin said, we had success models. So when we went to other organizations and we told them, we want you with us, we need to do some synergetic actions. If every one of us, like different organizations, everyone is working alone, we will not reach anything. So we started to do some synergetic actions, and we went together and we tried to lobby and advocate for the standards. And as Yasmin said, we had Reda and different other young people, as you saw in the movie. They went with us to some of the consultations that were held by the ministry. And this was the first time for them to go to the ministry and to call for these quality standards. And they were telling their stories. And one of them made one of the officials in the ministry says, I've been working in the ministry for more than 20 years, and I forgot that I was dealing with children. I was just dealing with papers. And this was a turning point, and after this, and now it was June 2014, when we had the quality standard mandatory and obligatory to all orphanages in Egypt. These are some of the units and some of the programs. I will not go through it. You have the brochure. You can go through it. And of course, you can come to Yasmin and myself and ask. We would like to highlight the partnerships. Without those people, without these organizations, we wouldn't have done it. We have private sector, we have universities, we have schools, and we have different INGOs and NGOs. Because of them, we were able to do this change in Egypt. We have been through a long journey, like 8 years now. And these are some of the lessons learned. I'm sure you have lots of lessons learned as well. But first of all, the holistic approach. If we just work with orphanages, we couldn't have reached this now. We had to work with private sector, we had to work with the government, we had to work with the schools, we have to work with everybody, but we were focused. We were focused only on children without parental care. The second thing is the participatory approach. We have ensured to make all children that we have met and young people, the caregivers themselves, the managers, participating in the process. And this gave us credibility, made the people believe in us and what we are saying. Quick wins and long structural changes, we have tried to balance between both of them, because if we have just focused on the long structural changes, people will lose the momentum, will not have this sense of achievement. And if we only focus on the quick wins, we will not have change. So we try to balance between both of them. And finally, the team, and the team is, we have said that the team is, you have to invest in your team as much as you invest in the change that you're doing. And finally, we would like to share with you our new dream, because we always like to dream. So the first thing is we're dreaming to have an endowment, a regional one, an Arabic one, for caregivers, for qualifying caregivers. We would like to invest in their education. We would like to have qualified caregivers. This is number one. Our second dream is to have license to practice. We need to have people that they are really qualified to give care for those young children. And finally, we would like to have community monitoring, and we're thinking to have an automated ranking system which will be available and accessible by all community, just to go and to rank the orphanage. So we're making sure that it's only the government, it's not only Wataniya, the ranking will be done by all the community members. So now we can open the floor for questions if you have any, and Madam Mona, myself, and Yasmin will be always here to answer your question.
Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you very much, and we'll be available if you need to know further information about our community or our project. Thank you.
We thank Ms. Amira and Ms. Yasmin for their presentation, and now we would like to call upon Ms. Anna Cristina from Venezuela, and the practice is developed in Venezuela, India, and USA, and the title of the practice is Tracing Public Space. Please, Ms. Anna Cristina.
Good morning, and thank you for the invitation to be here to present Tracing Public Spaces. This project was my master's thesis for MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and it has become part of my work now, but I will show you first the research project today. So, rapid and informal growth has been challenging the way we plan cities. Only 200 years ago, 3% of the world's population was living in cities, and today more than half of the world is living in cities. Of those people living in cities, 1/3 of them is living in slums, where they lack infrastructure, lack proper sanitary conditions, and open spaces. So the question that this research proposed is, how can we develop a transformative process so that that 33% of the world can become part of the formal city? So some governments choose to remove slums and provide massive housing, taking away families' livelihoods and doing very little to urbanize. Some other governments just choose to rehabilitate slums and make them a nicer place to live, making them part of the formal city. And Tracing Public Space proposes to work with the informal city and improve public spaces by empowering children and teaching them tools to transform their public spaces. It relies on community force because what happens in informal settlements is that people live close together and their community force is their biggest asset. And public space is the place that brings them together. So the Tracing Public Spaces workshops have been developed since 2 years. I've been doing them for 2 years now, starting in Boston where I was doing my master's, then in India, Caracas, and more recently in El Consejo in Venezuela. So I will tell you a little bit of the workshop that guided most of this research developed in India, in Mumbai specifically. It was developed in Malvani, a small transit camp in the northern part of Mumbai, This is the site where families living in informal settlements in downtown Mumbai were moved to house them temporarily in small, very small lots. And after 40 years, it has evolved into a tiny, small, self-built city where we have streets, hospitals, small mosques, because it's mostly a Muslim community, shops, and even some recycling business. This is the Malvani typical urban block. It has about 100 houses and one open courtyard in the center with 2 public toilets, because the families don't have toilet in their houses. So what has happened over time is that what used to be 6-meter wide streets have become 3-meter wide streets because of encroachments. And this is how they look. There's no light in these streets. And the same happens with these open courtyards. They have been encroached with private needs or private uses, and this is how they look after 40 years. So someone might have started this small farm business and occupied the space. So the question is, how could we address this concern? In this case was how to save these open spaces from being encroached. And the Tracing Public Space methodology proposes to use what I call urban pedagogy to engage children in the process of transformation by helping them see and value these open spaces, so that then they are given certain tools to design and propose different ideas for the open spaces. So in this process, there are 3 agents of change. The first, the community represented by children between 10 and 16 years old, institutions, NGOs or schools, and an architect designer as a temporary facilitator of the process. So this is the Rahe Foundation up top, which was my partner for this specific workshop, and also a local teacher who was part of the Teach for India program. And then you see the 10 children who participated in the Malvani workshop. Oops, sorry. So there are basically 3 steps for the workshops. The first one is about observation and representation of the community. In this case, it was about observing the courtyards. The second one is about creating and designing. So this is where I designed some tools that allow children who have no architectural training to become able to imagine things with tangible objects, like a kind of a Lego thing. And then the third one is finally to have an impact on the space and transform it. So for the first one, we basically use photography and maps as tools of representation of their observations. So for photography, we have a small tool which is called the framing tool that helps them observe before taking the picture. They go around with this frame and understand that how they see the place is how they are going to take the picture. And then we print the pictures and show it to their parents and to the rest of the community so that everyone sees what they have become aware of their community. And then we also do maps. In this case, we map these courtyards, and all the black ones are the ones that have been completely encroached, and you cannot see any open space anymore. So we discovered that 30% of the courtyards had been completely occupied. So the question in this case was, so how do we stop this occupation and protect these spaces? And then they also start to get an introduction to measurements. How much space do they need to play hopscotch or tennis? And then they understand that maybe it seems there's a courtyard that seems small, but you can play all these games within that space. And these are some of the pictures that show all the activities that take place in this essential community gathering places. They also do interviews, and this is how they look like, that are very easy to go around and have a graphic idea of what they're asking. And throughout these interviews and this phase, one of the key concerns was how could they preserve these spaces clean? So how could they protect them from encroach, and also how could they keep them clean? And then for the second part, the design and create part, we decided to first make a general mapping and design of the open spaces. So they had this small sheet where they could write the different height of the houses, understanding that all the houses that surround the courtyard are at the edge of the public space and are part of it. And then they were able to do these models, which came out of also kind of toolkits that they put together and share some of their initial ideas for the courtyards. For example, this one is a green space because they consider there's a lot of pollution because of the density of the community, and they wanted to have more fresh air. And then they, again, share these models and ideas with the rest of the community. And they also have this other toolkit, which in a bigger scale helps them design a public space furniture. And finally, the transformation process phase is about choosing one thing to do with the space. So in this case, they chose to put this, even though they had designed many things, we had little time. And in 2 hours, they had to decide one thing to do. So they went around and asked people for a little bit of money to buy paint and also brooms to clean the space. And this is what they chose to do. So in 10 minutes, we did a competition to who could clean a stripe of the floor faster and clean the space, and then we painted that courtyard. So even if it was just for that day, that courtyard became better. And they did it with their own resources and their own willpower. So for future work, in this case, the idea is to build toolkits that are actually real scale, so that you can have a little box with lots of pieces that can be put together to design different public space furniture. And for example, we had a playground, and this one is more like a canopy for rainy days during monsoon. And then all those families living in that block will benefit from this courtyard. So now I'm going to tell you briefly about the workshop that I've been developing in Venezuela. So after I graduated from MIT, I moved back to my country, and I've kept on developing this methodology. So I'm working in a place called Juan Moreno. It's an hour away from Caracas, the capital of the city. This is my team of children working now in these workshops, and we've partnered with a local NGO called Fundación Santa Teresa, who has been working in this place for over 15 years, doing different kind of social work. So we did the same process again. We did the mapping. In this case, there were no maps of this settlement, so we had to trace from Google and then do with the spray paint the map, and then locate different opportunities for public space, which you see all those orange dots. Also, there's an important part of the workshop, which is about having the children understand that public spaces are the identity of the community. And therefore, each one of them gets a little tote bag with a letter, and together they spell the word identity. This is in Spanish. So here are some more pictures. They also practice the drawing to scale exercises. For example, on that picture on the right side, they drew a game on a paper, and then they drew it up to scale with meters on the floor, and they actually play it. And this is one tiny space that looked like this. And then after a day of working together with some community leaders, we cleaned all that all the grass and painted the walls white and put together this small furniture to demonstrate to the community that things can be different for a day. So after this, we chose to further develop one of these prototypes of public furniture, which is that planting kind of wall on the right. And now we're trying to build together this fence, this wooden fence with plants that is going to be located in one of the staircases that goes up through the hill. But there's not one staircase, but like 20 of them. So the idea is that this concept of putting a fence with plants can be replicated in other spheres. So we've been working this last weeks on building these things, and one of them, this picture, I really love it because one of the most interesting things is to find how simple things like, just a plant that is worth very little makes them so proud to, to be carrying it through the slum and taking it to the staircase. And this is how it will look. We have only built 4 or 5 of those, but the idea is that we will finish building 14 of them in the next 3 weeks. And also we've got a new tool that has helped us in the mapping phase, which is a drone. And now we can make aerial pictures of the communities, which will improve our mapping exercises. So can there be a transformative process that allows 33% of the world to become part of the formal city? Well, I believe tracing public space is just a start, but it definitely proves that engaging people in these participatory processes and empowering children to see their communities differently and act upon that is definitely some kind of start. So with this amazing prize that the municipality of Dubai has awarded us, we would like to invest on systematizing more the tracing public space process to be more replicable. And if you want to learn more about tracing public space, you can visit our blog, tracingpublicspace.org. Thank you. Oh, if you have questions, I would be happy to answer. Yes.
Do you face any challenges with the family of the children? Do they struggle with you? Do they want their children to stay and clean the home, for example, or go and work, or go? Did you communicate, or did some problem or intervention with the family?
Well, in India, families were very collaborative and eager that their children participate. In Venezuela, it has been a bit harder, more tough. A lot of the children have to take care of smaller children, and it's their responsibility, or they have to run errands for the family. Their parents work very far away from where they live sometimes, so there's no one else in the house, and sometimes, the 12-year-old has to take care of the 2-year-old who needs someone to look after him. But in general, families are quite supportive. I would say, actually, we've encountered more travel with other community people. In India, we had this man who, when we presented all the models in the courtyard and, the kids were really excited about their ideas, they said, no, none of the things you're proposing would work because if you put a bench, then, bad people will sit there and make noise, and very negative upon, change and transformation, which is something that children, are completely opposite to. Yes. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anna Cristina, for this presentation. And now we'd like to call upon the project title, or the practice title, My Garden Project, from Argentina, Mr. Philip Lobert.
Good morning. I want to thank everybody for being here, because all of us have been working hard on the organization side or on the best practice side for improving our world. I will speak about a project from Argentina. I want you to know that it is a country as big as half of Brazil, half of the United States without Alaska, so a very big country with only 30 million people living there. Our project says, seeding the future together. we in Argentina have a vision that we can improve the life of children and their families, helping them to work with sustainable tools. In our case, the sustainable tool is agriculture. And we teach children agriculture through vegetable gardens. So they learn the easiest way of agriculture. They have the difference between a vegetable garden and normal agriculture is the water. You put water on a vegetable garden each day, and vegetables grow very fast. Lettuce grows in 1 month. So it's a very easy way to enter in agriculture knowledge. And our vision says that we are willing to see Argentina without starving children or without malnutrition. Our project is based on schools, rural schools first. We went to urban schools, primary schools later. Why schools? Because we believe that the problem is an educational problem, not a training problem. Learning agriculture means learning technical practice on one side and learning about eating green food on the other one. Let me say that we are today in 260 schools, and more than half of the children of those schools didn't eat a green leaf, a green vegetable, before we came with the vegetable garden. We began in rural schools, and in rural areas, all children of the community goes to one school, which is a public school, because there are no other schools. So all of them goes to the school, and second, all of them goes at least the minimum of 5 years, because primary school is mandatory in Argentina. All children must go to primary school. So at one place, the school, with one vegetable garden, and only one, we can involve all children and their families in the project. Why their families? Because we are not building the vegetable gardens at the schools. We work all together with the government National Institute of Agricultural Technology. So we organize the project, we direct it, we manage it, we find the money, then our partner gives the technology with the design of the vegetable gardens. No one vegetable garden is the same as the other, because each place has its own conditions, its own environment, and each place needs a specific design for the vegetable garden. We have a vegetable garden at 3,700 meters in the mountain, and we have a lot of gardens in the plain. One, the more in the tropics, but also a lot in Patagonia, which is a cold area. Our project is nutritional because the vegetable garden brings food, fresh fruit to the kitchen. In Argentina, all primary schools has a kitchen, and child has a breakfast and lunch given at the school. So it is nutritional. We are improving the kitchen outputs. It's organic because the government model we are using is organic. Of course, it's ecological. It's educative because, as I said, we consider that an educative process. And as I said, most of the children didn't eat vegetables before. And what is very interesting is that at the beginning, they just try to keep out from their plates the vegetables, and later they like it, and later they ask for. Productive because we are producing at the school. Sustainable because the training program from the INTA, the International Institute of Agricultural Technology, is a model which feeds itself. So they know how to produce seeds, they know how to produce good earth, and improve the garden along the years. Empowering is very important. We are empowering the child first, and we are empowering the families later. And we keep visiting the schools along the years. We keep going, and the child are aware of the importance of the presence of the technicians, our presence, both of us helping them alone to make their garden. Our priorities are fighting against malnutrition and starvation, and our objectives, as I said, are rural schools. We believe that a community which has the opportunity to build its vegetable garden at its school is a community which will change, and it has happened always. And the first strategy for that is that we don't offer vegetable gardens to the schools. We just attend requirements, queries. The schools ask for a vegetable garden, and then we go and work with them. This is the north of our country. In Argentina, 35% of the children are under the basic needs index, which means that they are all undernourished or malnourished. And if you see those two areas are over 70% of the index of poverty. And I'm speaking of a country where we produce 3 times or more than 3 times the amount of food the Argentinian needs. So we are producing 2 times food to just export it eventually, but even though most of the children of that area are living in starvation. We are now covering all Argentina, which is a very large country, as I said, near 3 million square kilometers. We already have 260 projects in the country. We are covering more than 16,000 children. And I want to tell you that almost 60% of those children only eat at school. So they only have 1 lunch during the day. They don't eat at home. And it covers 7,000 families. This is our lemma. An empowered child with a seed in his hands will never fear hunger. And after 5 years, we know and we believe that our child in our schools really knows that with a seed they can do a lot of things, principally eating. These are our partners. We work with the government, we 3 ministries. On the right, the National Institute of Technology, INTA. They are our partners. They have a program called Pro Huerta, which means Pro Garden. And with those technicians, we have made 260 projects altogether along 15 years without any problem and without any specific agreement between us. And we have developed a large private group of sponsors and donators. So we are having a very strong financial support. We've been improving our project year after year. We've been improving our model, our vegetable garden school model. We have had to, for example, we started only with the green garden, then we added dripping irrigation as a standard and mandatory way of putting water in the green garden. We have had to improve ourselves, our NGO, our foundation, had to improve a lot and organize, adopt quality standards, adopt processes, and we have had to improve the way we were selecting the people who would work in the foundation. Again, as you said, it is extremely important how people are trained, prepared, and how they will work with a standard methodology and sound methodology. I'm listing here all our improvement, how we improved our best practice. And I want to end with how are we going to use the award we are receiving now. As future practices, we are going to go from the school to the homes, and we're going to have a systematic work to have the school practice transformed in home green gardens. We will be helping the child to build their green gardens at home, as we are helping the community today to build their green garden at school. We are going to work hard on water, because water is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, and not because we don't have water, just because the best practices about taking care of sources and taking care of the use are being lost. So we are starting a program to just push ahead best practices about taking care of the sources of water. We don't have water. People think we need to find more water, and in fact we don't have to do that. We just have to take care of what we have, and we don't have to spoil sources, which is something which is happening very much in our country. Another thing is, before they would harvest rainwater from the roofs, that has been abandoned. We are receiving water from the municipality. The water from the municipality is not good, and there is a lack of water from the municipality because they are not able to give water to everybody, and we must go back to the roofs. And we are going to do a third project with water in Argentina due to geological reasons. We have arsenic, which is a real poison. We have arsenic in half of our country, and you find it here, and not there, and then here. So it is not one location problem. It's all over the country. And we are going to develop now a program for that. There are no government programs for arsenic. Most of the municipalities give water with arsenic. They just clean the water. They don't decontaminate the water. And we found a very, very simple and cheap family solution, which is a filter like a filter for coffee, but it is made of ceramic, the best kaolin ceramic, the one you use to do porcelain. Well, it's just a filter made with that, cooked at 1,000 Celsius degrees, and it filters all heavy metals, arsenic, and the rest. So we are going to, it's very cheap, and we are going to promote the use of that filter all over Argentina through our schools. And immediately what we are going to do with our award is to consolidate our organization. Last year we made 60 projects, and that was quite over what we was able to do. So we were very stressed, and we slept not so much. So we want to be able to make more than 50. We want to go over our limit, our standard of 50 projects a year, and we are going to improve our organization immediately, taking profit of our award. Okay, we've been quite successful with the media, and the media is an important partner. And finally, I want to tell you that these children you see here in the photos are really grateful to all of you. Thank you very much.